Welcome to We Are Venomaniacs, the Venom Site's official podcast for all of your symbiote news, reviews, and point of views. In this podcast series, a few of the fan club's esteemed and brave members take to the airwaves to discuss symbiote-related comics, movies, cartoons, games, and more. We also provide new updates on fresh media and merch, all, of course, about symbiotes, all the time. My name is Orion, and I'm joined today by Carlos, Tyler, Aaron, and John. Say hi, guys.
What up, guys?
Hello.
Hey.
Alright, so in today's episode, we're reviewing the first issue to Marvel's newest Venom comic book series by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman, which you can pick up at your local comic book shop today or online. Mike Costa's Venom series ended 2 weeks ago with issue number 165, which featured the first appearance of Venom and his brand new unnamed symbiote Spawn. Today's issue of Venom, which is dual numbered as issue number 1 and number 166, picks up several months after the end of issue 165. Venom and Eddie have hit a rough patch in their relationship as an ancient terror from the symbiote's past has reared its ugly head once more. So let's get to it. Is this the Eddie Brock Venom series we've all been waiting for since Eddie became Venom again? And is this Eddie's Rick Remender moment? So who wants to begin?
Well, who says I was waiting for Eddie to become Venom again?
I would say that I've voiced this many times before, but him becoming Venom again was very bittersweet for me. It's like a step back, but it's a feel good step back. It's like, oh, something familiar, something I can latch on to.
For me, like this is pretty much way more darker story because when I went to pick up this issue, I was kind of excited just to know what was going to happen in this, and this really did not disappoint. This was a really, really good issue just off the bat, like all around.
And I'll agree to that. And I'm just riding this Eddie hype train all the way through with the movie, all these Venomized Venomverse things. We're still hot on the tails of Brock.
Having ourselves a Brock high.
Yeah, I thought the comic was great. I really this is the best Eddie comic in a long time. Like I still liked. Overall, I would say I liked Mike Costa's stuff, but a lot of it was just middle of the road. But this has got me so interested in what's going on, and I think one of my favorite things is that it's using the Project Rebirth stuff, and we're getting into that backstory.
Says the Flash fan, though.
Of course, absolutely. I love that one string of panels where it's like, wait, you're not Flash Thompson. That's disappointing, but you'll have to do. I love that.
He's not Flash Thompson. He's better than Flash Thompson.
Yeah, because I like the fact how when I was reading this, I'm like, they referenced the whole Super Soldier project with Flash when he got the Venom symbiote. But it wasn't just him, because apparently there were other soldiers who were bonded with these other symbiotes at the time, and he wasn't the first or something like that. And then now, again, the Venom symbiote is still not telling Eddie what's really going on, and that's what really has me intrigued with this story. And obviously, one thing I really liked about this issue than Costa's run is that this is more of a darker tone, because Eddie is still having complications with Venom, and there's something going on that happened many, many, many years ago in the distant past. And I thought that was pretty interesting, and the fact that we got to see this new language that Venom is speaking, this new symbiote language of some sort, and I just found that very interesting. So,
yeah, definitely, it's pretty cool that we're finally getting some more backstory, especially I feel like this is going to be looking into perhaps symbiote lore and culture. The legends of the symbiotes, because as revealed towards the end of the book, some sort of symbiote god is coming.
Right, and what you want to say about the last run? So I think what you guys just said, it was the middle, but for Eddie to have middle road stories, that's pretty good for him, because like what we had in the 90s and like the 2000s were pretty awful. So there's really nowhere he can go but up from here, I think, honestly. So like unless this first issue is a fluke and the rest is, awful, with some other series like Venomverse or Venomized, I think this is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm really hoping that this won't bite me later on, but I'm saying in Cates and Stegman, I trust.
Oh, definitely. I second that.
Yeah, for sure. It's just he's got me intrigued. He's introducing new stuff that I think is really neat ideas, and it's just I'm just really excited to see where this goes.
So I do want to throw out the word retcon at all.
I don't know, because John and I were talking about that earlier online, and it's like I think that word gets thrown around a lot, and not many people really understand what it really means. Where like this whole business about that it began back in Guardians of the Galaxy by Brian Michael Bendis, and when he introduced the symbiote's true homeworld and their name and everything, and it's spun out from there. People have been calling all of this Clintar lore a retcon of what was done in the past with the Planet of the Symbiote storyline, where a rogue group of symbiotes, evil symbiotes, try to take over Earth. Now, what Bendis did was not a retcon, I would say. It's additive to the story without changing anything from the past. He was establishing that there is another faction, perhaps the base faction of the symbiotes, the Clintar, that are actually good, and these evil groups that we've seen in Planet of the Symbiotes and in Minimum Carnage are just that, they're evil factions. So I think what Cates did with this run so far, this first issue, is it's still additive, because we know very little about symbiote culture or the mythology or anything about that. And even with Venom's past, we know very little about anything pre-Secret Wars, pre-Battle World. So we're getting to learn a lot more about Venom's past and about symbiote lore in general.
Well, right, like really say like it's a retcon because like the new character Rex was saying, what's its name? Maybe it has a name. Why wouldn't it have a name? We just don't know what it is.
It's never been brought up except for Space Knight,
which was kind of thrown away at the same time. But yeah.
Here's the thing with the Bendis, because I fully believe that is 100% a retcon, because in the previous Planet of the Symbiote story, like, he basically laid out, he's like, yeah, my race is one of conquerors, I'm a defect, like, I'm not like them, and that's the rest of my race is like that. And so introducing that his race is originally good, that is a retcon. It's retroactively changed in continuity.
Yeah.
Well, we could say like Venom even existing as a retcon, because at the very start the symbiote died when it left Peter in the church bell. Then, like a year later, oh, well, actually, it's still alive. It found this new guy. And then maybe it found Deadpool and all this other stuff.
Yeah,
oh, God, no.
Yeah. But it's just a symbiote continuity, especially, is very messed with a lot of the time. And so it's just, I don't think we should get into the exact definition of the retcon, but like, it could be argued that this is a retcon. But in this story specifically,
as a symbiote, you might say it's just really formless. Like, it just, like, folks just they make like something new and they just run with it. It seems like,
Oh, now it needs to eat brains or stuff that's in chocolate, or it can eat adrenaline now, and then so it
doesn't eat things at all, or it eats people, or it feeds on emotions, or
So I feel like that Cates is going to try to set things straight with this series, because the question of the symbiote's name wasn't the only thing that was brought up. What's its diet and what's its ideal temperature, and all of that stuff's like, okay, so it sounds like we might get things set straight. Like, we're gonna set this continuity straight.
And also too, like we don't even know how exactly how old the Venom actually is, because I'm actually curious, how old is he? So.
Yeah, and like I in this issue number 1, I wouldn't call much of the stuff in here retcons, because it's like introducing a new ancient symbiote that we've never heard of. That's not like a retcon. That's just saying, oh, this happened, you just didn't know about it. But the only thing I would sort of call a retcon in this issue would be he just mentions that the symbiote, like, it continues the thing as like, oh, there was a host before even he got to Peter, which I never really liked that idea that was introduced in Space Knight, that it bonded with someone, a non-human first before even encountering Peter. But that's,
well, I mean,
yeah.
Well, it did in like Planet of the Symbiotes. You remember they had like the purple aliens, and he was on one of the purple aliens, and they got him off that alien. Well, because at first
I always thought that was just an example of another symbiote.
With his host, so obviously he had a host before, but he was just nicer with it, where the other ones wanted to suck their host dry.
I just always really liked the idea of Peter being the first host this thing had. That's just me.
But that wouldn't really make sense, because then they wouldn't know that he was a nice.
Well, why not? Couldn't he have just said, like, I want to join with someone? They're like, that's gross. So, but anyway.
So, like, he, like, says that out loud. I'm like, what? Shun the non-believer. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway.
So, John, what are your thoughts? Because we haven't heard much from you so far.
Well, to bring it kind of back to this issue, I'd say, like, I see a lot of people having trouble with, like, quote-unquote retcons and stuff. But for this specific instance, I think some people are having trouble accepting the fact that Eddie doesn't know everything about the symbiote. And this is just from general stuff that I've read. But Eddie's getting told off by this Rex character. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone always thought, like, well, Eddie Brock has been with the symbiote the longest, so he ought to know everything that there is to know. He should be the master of symbiotes, right? And what this comic is kind of showing is that that's not really the case. What we have here is symbiotes have been around a lot longer than we thought they were. For who knows how long, right? Like, almost looked like those photos were from, like, Nam. Who knows how long ago those photos were taken, right? But they've been around for a long time, which is kind of a new thing, right? Like, I don't think symbiotes have been established to be on Earth so long ago.
Yeah, before this issue, as far as we knew, Crowbar was the first symbiote to ever visit Earth.
Oh, that's right.
If that's canon.
Everyone forgets about
If
that.
that's canon.
Or Crowbar.
There's Dreadface, too. Was he before that, too? I don't...
No.
We're not
Dreadface,
He's a real symbiote, are we?
Yeah.
Dreadface came after Venom. Yeah, definitely.
Right, okay.
But, oh yeah, go on. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, but then what about that bounty hunter from Poison X? Because doesn't he know Venom too? Because they never really finished that whole plot hole or whatever.
See if we ever get a follow up to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
we in like X-Men Blue now because they're kind of still on that. But well, anyway.
But here's the thing about the Project Rebirth stuff, like, the soldiers throughout history, I think it's a really cool idea. Like, there's always been these Black Ops soldiers throughout history, like, and it reminds me a lot of what they did with Iron Fist and Ghost Riders. Like, yeah, there's been a bunch of Iron Fist throughout the ages and Ghost Riders from all throughout time. And so I just think it's a really cool idea, and to me, it makes sense why they would have come up with the Agent Venom idea with Flash. They're like, because they've done this before. And, like, because I always feared, like, wow, they sure figure out how to do a like, drug an alien symbiote really easily. It's like, oh, wait, they've done this before. And then, obviously, they were ready to do it again. And then with the Mercury team, immediately after. So, I think it's a really neat idea. And then, an artistic detail I really like is that, in the picture, you can see they don't all look like stereotypical, like, symbiotes with the big eyes. They just have, like, small, normal eyes. And so it's like, yeah, because these ones didn't have, like, a lot of people do that. We're like, oh yeah, all symbiotes have the big Spider-Man eyes, but no, like, so I really like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be really interesting to see more of these symbiote soldiers from the past, because it's like, I mean, I get that a lot of people are like, oh no, they're introducing more symbiotes into these stories, like we already have a deluge of them. But no, we need, it's cool to see how the symbiotes are more integral to Earth's history than we realized. Like, I mean, not like history broadly, but we've seen so far that they at least appeared back in the Nordic era, when the Vikings, and even I guess with Beowulf, and there's that whole mythology of Beowulf, Grendel, and all of that. So it's really cool to see that symbiotes have had some part in human history, at least.
Mm. And I think one thing that this also does, that some people might like and some people might hate, is that it helps remove Venom from Spider-Man even further, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
you know, we don't need Spider-Man for symbiotes to have their own lore, right? Like, all these guys existed way before Spider-Man got his symbiote. So you don't need Spider-Man in this story, right? You need the guy who has experience with symbiotes. And so I actually enjoy that, because I really do think I love Venom versus Spider-Man just as much as the next guy, but I love world building for Eddie and for the symbiote. Like, they get to deal with their own stuff. It's not a Spider-Man thing. Even Rex kind of pokes fun at him. He's like, all you know is spider symbols and web or whatever, or teeth. And it's kind of cool that, like, Eddie gets to see a world where, like, it's not all about Spider-Man. It's about his symbiote. It's about symbiote lore. You know, it's about him as a character. And so, like, that's, to me, a great advantage, because we don't have to deal with Spider-Man poking his head in or anything, even though that's going to happen within the next 3 issues.
Yeah, I felt like Peter, Rex. You know. I felt like Rex coming into this issue, it felt a lot like when Nick Fury showed up at the end of Iron Man 1. It's like you are a part of a much bigger world than you realize.
I really hope Rex doesn't turn out to be evil. I don't want that to happen.
Well, I sort of have a feeling, because the story arc is named Rex.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that's like a double entendre, where it's like, it's Rex's name, but also there's this monstrous symbiote. So I'm hoping it's just like like a little thing like that.
Well, if the new, so like if the God suits like needs a host, I would assume it would go to him. But I mean, I don't know. True. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it going either way for sure. I think regardless, I think we all agree that he's a pretty awesome character so far.
Yeah.
I just wish issue 2 would be out right now. I want to read issue 2 right now.
Right.
And just I want to go back to the beginning of the issue, where at first we get like this symbiote that's sort of going crazy again, and I didn't love that at first, but especially since we sort of just have that with the Costa thing, right? Where it's, the symbiote's going crazy and violent. And so we're getting that
cured. Woohoo! You know, no more fighting, no more evil stuff, and then
yeah, and then immediately it's just going crazy again. But I think they're doing a more unique thing with it. Like, there's a straight up explanation for it right here. It's not just symbiotes getting more corrupt. There's something affecting the symbiote, and it's affecting all these other symbiotes as well. And
right.
So,
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was like, you go ahead, because I was going to ask a question.
Well, I think something interesting, kind of like shower thoughts here, that I was thinking about. There's a lot of parallels between this issue and Venom 150. Now, hear me out real quick. Both of them start out with like Eddie having a dream, you know, and waking up to his other, and like going out and fighting crime, and then losing control, right, in some way or another.
Mm.
But the difference is, I think, like, the specific difference here is that the previous Costa run didn't really explain very well why Venom was out of control.
Yeah.
I don't think we even got a solid answer at the end of the run. It was kind of just like, oh, you are sick because of your FBI stuff, and then it was something else, and then
from the home world and Lee Price, and
right, like, was it Lee Price that recorrupted it? And, like, it didn't make much sense, and at the end they were just like, oh, you're cured, we don't know why.
Yeah, it's anti-Venom cured you, I guess. You know, it's like...
Right, But with this issue, we explore immediately what's wrong. We're given, like, we don't know for sure what it is, but the whole point is to explore what's wrong with it, right? Like, we're getting a definite answer to what's going on, and I think it's just a lot more interesting and a lot more solid in that regard.
See, that's the problem that I had. Is like, okay, well, but Eddie went through all that trouble, got the cure from that doctor, and then out of nowhere it just gets re-corrupted in this issue, and it's just like, well, now we got to start all over again. But there's at least there's a reason for that. So
right.
Well, I don't think it's going to stay that way. Like, I think once they get rid of this new threat, like, everything's going to go back to normal.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But.
Yeah. And I will say, though, I really like that this Jack-o'-lantern poser was the one that set it off. Like, the symbiote's like, I freaking hate that guy. Like, but yeah, the question I was going to ask, speaking of all the possessed crazy symbiote, what does everyone think of that design of this, like, spiral thing?
I mentioned it before. I mentioned it before earlier. The whole spiral motif on its face. It reminds me of another Venom analog co-created by Tyler McFarlane, The Haunt. If anyone remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but in Space Knight, when what was that mercenary's name? Like Mercurio or something? Didn't he have like a spiral design on the symbiote?
Like on its chest, I think.
Something like that. I mean, I didn't really mind. I didn't really mind it. It did look odd and out of place, but again, it was something new and fresh. So I'm not going to complain.
Right. I did appreciate the shot where Rex was aiming at him and he aimed for the bullseye and it like hit the right in the middle. So I did appreciate that. Yeah.
And I kind of like how the spider symbol almost looks like a dragon on him with the red. Yeah. But the big giant vein things look really creepy, and I don't want to say problem with it. Just a nitpick I would say with the spiral seems kind of almost too obvious for like a hypnosis sort of thing, being under a spell. And yeah. I think something that like maybe vary that up a bit or something, like make it like have multiple eyes like a spider or something. I don't know. I think that it's just a little basic to me. I think, but I still think it looks so cool with all the pores and everything. Like. I'll say the art for this issue is outstanding. Like I already loved Ryan Stegman, but with this combination of Ryan putting out his best work, and then also the inkers and colorists, this is one of the most pretty books I've ever seen.
As I've seen in one review, it's like, this is amazing. This is event series amazing, and this isn't even an event series. This is an ongoing title. This is amazing artwork.
That one spread we have of him stopping the truck, that's so awesome.
And I can tell, too, like, the colors, like, it's so much different from Venom Inc. compared to this, and it's just more vibrant and just more of a dark setting, and that's what I love about it, so.
Yeah, it definitely sets the tone. Like, it's extremely good at that.
So what's the symbiotes, like the ones in the truck? I really like how their masks, tubes for the masks also kind of merged with like the veins on their bodies. I thought that was a nice artistic like detail they had on like the oxygen masks, like
looked
just like the hanging around their bodies. Yeah. Yep. And I do like how Stegman draws the symbiote, having where he has like an expressive face. Like how the time like in Venom Inc. he had like the cute face, and we all like that face. Like he's drawing more of those. And in this series, I like those expressive symbiote faces besides just having that like sharp teeth, evil-looking face.
Oh, and another marked improvement. Not once did Eddie call symbiote my love.
Oh, thank you, Donnie.
There's
thank
still
you.
Time. There's still time.
I'm glad that we're not doing that anymore.
That was getting a bit incessant.
Well, man, I liked it. I just wish the symbiote would call him, his love back.
Babe.
Show some love toward Eddie's way instead of just saying, "Okay,
no, I draw the line
I guess I love you." I mean, I don't know. I'm not ready to settle down yet. Find some more hosts, maybe.
In fact, I think it felt like the symbiote was much more affectionate towards Eddie this time around. especially because it's in this confusing state right now. Its mind is basically being corrupted, invaded by some unknown force, and it's feeling a bit more dependent on Eddie and a bit more tender towards him, I think.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention too, it's like, isn't this like maybe second or third time Eddie gets stabbed in the chest yet again?
Getting impaled.
Yeah.
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 He must be getting
And
annoyed.
he's trying to like fill the hole, and he says like, "I'm going to fix you, Eddie," and he's trying to.
So Donnie, if you're listening to this right now, I'd say make some sort of little offhand joke the next time you decide to impale Eddie. He's like, "Come on, again."
Again with this, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, definitely, it's this has been a spectacular first issue. We get a lot of great Eddie time. We get symbiote time. We get lore building. We get a brand new, awesome looking character here, Rex, and then we have on the precipice the symbiote god appearing. That's somehow connected.
I'm extremely excited to see the full design of that thing. Like, we just get a tease of it on the last page and the first pages, but I'm really excited to see like if this thing is like some sort of dragon or something. I'm really excited to see what Ryan Stegman does with that.
I have a feeling that when Eddie does meet this symbiote guy, he's gonna probably just shit his pants and be like, "Oh fuck."
So one thing that we were debating about earlier was, when the question came up of how old is the Venom symbiote, and then we're thinking it's experiencing these memories from an age-long past when this ancient symbiote was terrorizing the Vikings. Like, how old is the symbiote? Are those its memories? Is it terrorizing the Vikings, or is that the symbiote god? Because my theory was that these are not its personal memories, because if you remember, symbiotes have a genetic memory. That's how they get this. That's how like Carnage and all the other offspring of Venom get spider powers, because of the genetic memory. So I'm pretty sure that what we're seeing in the beginning with the flashbacks, the dream sequence, I think that's a genetic memory that the symbiote isn't as old as that, but that one of its ancestors probably experienced the symbiote god, and so now it's experiencing those memories.
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. Like, I don't think the Venom symbiote at all in the beginning. It's just a genetic memory from one of its this thing might be like the grandfather to a bunch of symbiotes. Like, this might be one of the first. Like, I don't know, like, however they call it, a god. It might be like one of the very first symbiotes or something that somehow got stranded on Earth.
Probably.
And just the presence of this thing coming back in this issue is what triggers those nightmares. It's like just the presence of it being near. So.
Yeah, in fact, I would venture to say, like, I've always had this fun little story idea about the Heart of Darkness for the symbiotes, where we have these two factions of the Clintar. We have the good faction, and then we have the evil spacefaring faction. And I always had this idea that, maybe there's a root of all the evil. Like, there's a single corruptor who started this entire evil faction that Venom was once a part of. And perhaps the symbiote god is that original corruptor. That's why it's called a god.
Who knows?
That's a fun idea.
But also, I want to bring up like something too about what about the whole because those whole Vikings, they were running away from that symbiote, and then one of them was shouting Beowulf. Do you guys think that has a connection to that?
Well, I've seen theories online about it might be related to Grendel in the Beowulf lore.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like, because I think from my vague recollection, I think Grendel was like weak to sound or something, or like singing. Yeah. So that's what I've seen thrown around.
Yeah. So I was seeing that maybe Beowulf had the Venom symbiote when it was on Earth, and then Grendel had like the symbiote god, and they're gonna like refight, in this series. But yeah. So I just something I saw, but
Yeah. So, anyways, any lasting thoughts on this before we move on?
Well, one thing I'd quickly like to mention, I liked from the little what do you call that? The little like intro to the comic with the big splash page. I like how, because I remember in one of the Mike Costa issues, they say how the Venom made Spider-Man more aggressive, and I really hated that because that's definitely not what happened. But in this, they got rid of that, so it doesn't say it's any. It just, yeah, it just said Spider-Man
was trying to bond with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it just said it was trying to read his mind and make their union permanent, and then Spider-Man rejected it. So it's a much more clearer vision of the truth. Except Eddie Brock obviously blaming Spider-Man. So
yeah. Otherwise, I think it's a good time. Perhaps we will all give this our own review. Basically, from 1 to 5 stars. What is your review? You can say what you liked about the story, what you liked about the art, whatever. What goes into your rating for this. So let's go ahead and start with Aaron. What was your review?
I would say it's 5 out of 5 by all the issues, by all the variants, even the Virgin variants, by all the all the covers you can get, stack up, guys. It's going to be worth a whole lot later down the line. Buy more issues, support us. We need that second printing variant.
Yes, please.
And then how about you, Tyler?
all right, I'd give this 5 out of 5 stars. Like, despite very minor nitpicks with it, I've already gushed about how much I love this thing. And you speak of variants and stuff, like, I'm a guy who almost never buys variants ever. I bought two $30 variants and the normal issue, so I'm so excited for this.
All right, and Carlos?
Yeah, no, definitely I'm going to be giving this a 5 stars. This is a great way to start off a new, fresh start for Venom. And yeah, I was able to get a couple of variants myself. I hope this does get a second printing, which I have a good feeling it will. And also I want to add, I'm kind of glad that we finally have Eddie with long hair again. Finally, it's been forever.
Yeah. Bring back the mullet.
But yeah, no, this issue was nice and dark. It was something fresh, and I can't wait for more. So yeah, I give it a 5 stars.
Awesome. And then John.
Well, I give it a 6 out of 5 stars.
Ooh.
I thought it was fantastic. It's one of those issues where I'd say you can buy it for the art alone, because I thought it was so freaking cool, and it's really cool to look at. It's one of those ones where you flip through and you'll find a new detail every time you look through. It's very cool. But then on top of that, you have Donny Cates, fantastic writing. Read his Thanos series, loved it, freaking can't wait for Cosmic Ghost Rider. And I love how we get to hear every single thought that goes through Eddie's head. It's very reminiscent of how, Flash started off with Remender, where you just heard everything he thought. And so I love hearing Eddie just afraid, wishing someone would kill him. I love being in his head when that moment happens, and him being super happy that he's in control and him and the symbiote get to work together. It's so cool. I can't gush about it enough that you get to be you get to hear him say where he is with the relationship. It's just really good writing, fantastic art, and I really can't wait for more.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll give it 5 stars myself. My thoughts reflect all of your guys' thoughts. Especially, I'll give props to Ryan and to Donnie. They have been superb when it comes to marketing Venom. You go onto Twitter and you'll see they are constantly pushing this book, and
it is
fun
better
interaction.
Better than Watchmen, that's right.
It is better than Watchmen.
It is always better than Watchmen. So I think then we can say the We Are Venomaniacs official rate for this book, Venom number 1 or number 166, is a 5 stars out of 5 stars. Perfect score. Good job, Donnie and Ryan and company. Everyone involved, great job. So with that, I think we have a little more time, perhaps, if we want to go off the rails a little bit and discuss one of the more pressing matters, and that is the first Venom trailer for the movie.
Oh, okay.
So let's hear everyone's thoughts on that one. I guess I'll go first. So, I would say I really liked the trailer. Definitely. I don't think there's anything I would
cut
say.
out there.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So, yeah, I definitely like the movie. The trailer for it. I can't find any faults with it so far, but I think I come with a bias. And those last 7 seconds, oh my god, that is fantastic. So how about everyone else?
I'll go next. I will say, like, I'm just finally glad we saw Venom at the end. I really do like his CGI look, but however, I'm kind of concerned. I don't want this movie to fail. I don't want this to bomb at the box office. I just want this to be decent, and at least have Sony, at least push out a movie that they can get right, because we all know what happened with Amazing Spider-Man and all the other movies they put out. So I'm just gonna keep my fingers crossed. But again, like I said, I do love how Venom looks in a CGI form. They got it right, and I hopefully he has a spider logo. I hope.
Yeah. So I'm trying to stay sort of optimistic. I'm one of the biggest Eddie Venom fans out there, and I've bought posters already. I bought shirts already. So I've been spending money on this movie already. But the trailer, it just looked like the movie just looked kind of plain, like story-wise, but I'm still excited. Venom looked amazing, and I liked how he's very, very accurate. We are Venom. He's hearing voices in his head. Like he has a tongue. Sometimes he doesn't have a tongue. So Venom looks and sounds amazing, but I'm not sure on the plot. I'm going to watch it, like opening night. I'm going to have, my Venom cup and my Venom hat and my Venom, Venom everything, right? So I'm going to see it 6 times in the theaters, but so far the storyline, I don't know, man. I'm staying casually optimistic.
Hey, Aaron, don't forget to bring a cup of that brisk Symbiote cherry.
Brisk dark Symbiote cherry limeade, dude. I'm gonna be sipping it all day.
Yeah, definitely. John, how about you?
I said at the beginning of the year I was just gonna try to ignore everything and go into it with a positive attitude and just kind of chill and enjoy it. And that's what I still plan to do, but I don't think the first trailer especially did not excite me. And this one, I agree with Aaron completely. I think he looks fantastic, and I think he sounds really, really cool. I'd say that's probably my ideal voice for Venom. But otherwise, some of the effects are pretty bad, like the motorcycle scene, like him pulling the motorcycle to himself or whatever. Yeah. I can say. This is the way I put it. I asked my friend, who's not a huge Venom fan, but he's a big movie fan, right? And he's seen all the MCU, he reads comics and stuff, but he's mostly a movie guy. And I asked him what he thought of the trailer. And he just, straight out said, it wasn't enough. He didn't like it. He thought the effects for Venom at the end were okay, but that the story and stuff just didn't interest him. And so there's bias on my end, but I'm kind of concerned about the casual audience and how they feel about it. I'm hoping that they get more excited about it, but from what I can tell, talking with my friend, he wasn't impressed, right? It just looked kind of generic action movie to him, but then with Venom at the end.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's my main concern. What will the casual audience think? Because that's what's going to bring in the money. Otherwise, I thought the trailer was just fine.
Yeah. I think I'll revise my statement in the beginning when I said I couldn't find any fault with the Venom movie. There is one fault, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what that is.
Oh,
everyone agrees.
Is it the Symbiote?
Yes. The pronunciation of symbiote as symbiote. Oh gosh.
I cringed so hard at that part.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the right way to pronounce it. That's not the right way.
Reshoot the entire movie.
Sorry. I'm back. Something was going weird with my connections, but I'm back now.
Okay. Well, we were just discussing how the one fault we can definitely all agree on was the pronunciation of symbiote.
Oh, the symbiote.
Symbiote. And they really nailed it. As, like, she really emphasized that bi part. She's like symbiote. I'm like, oh.
It reminds me of the '90s cartoon a bit. How they always pronounce it symbiote, and I hated that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no. I mean, I'm super. I can't say I'm super looking forward to this movie. I have very mixed feelings on it because I do feel like Venom's origin is missing something about Spider-Man. But so I've had very low expectations. But I have said in the past that if this movie gives me a good-looking and sounding Venom, I'm probably going to be satisfied. And from that part at the end, that looked friggin' awesome. Like, I love how Venom looks, but unfortunately, I know he won't have the spider. I know he's not going to, and that makes me sad.
But here's the thing, too. I've been hearing around on social media and on the internet. They said that he's only going to be in the film for 15 minutes. I hope that's not the case. Because if that happens, I'm going to be very disappointed. Venom in this movie has to be in the movie for a longer period of time.
That's from the original leak that was just full of garbage. Like
even Tom Hardy disproved that. He's like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah,
I feel
doubt it though. But.
Yeah, that's how I feel as well, Aaron. Like I wouldn't put it past them with these type of movies. It's a lot cheaper to just show him at the end, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he might be, like, halfway through the movie, they show him, but then he'll be away for another half of the movie, and so in total, he might show up for a total of 15 minutes or so. Like, I doubt we're gonna get, like, half a movie with Venom swinging around, you know?
I just don't think, like, 30 minutes of Venom, I don't think that's I don't think that's too out there. I think 30 minutes is, like, an acceptable amount. Like, Thanos was in Infinity War for 30 minutes, and he felt like he was in plenty.
But that was like billions of dollars.
But we also may just hear the symbiote's voice in Eddie's head. I mean, is that still acceptable?
I think that's acceptable. Yeah, I mean,
if they get the relationship right, because I will say the trailer kind of worried me about that. How the Venom's like, no, we do whatever we want, like. And I was like, they're supposed to be working together.
Well, I mean, they got to work on it, you know.
Yeah.
It's classic Marvel, you know? It's a classic team. There's a disagreement in the beginning, but towards the end, it's like they mesh together and they get the job done.
I mean, it's the first encounter, after all.
The original Eddie in the comics that I know, he friggin' bonded to that thing real fast.
Well, we also had Spider-Man, so, you know.
This is true.
Yeah, he was made to be a villain, so he had to work together.
Speaking of Spider-Man, so do you guys believe the whole rumors that Tom Holland's going to make a cameo in this film?
I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second.
Me neither.
Until I see him in that movie.
Yeah, at best, we're getting a background appearance of Tom Holland, who's not going to say anything. They're not going to show him. He's just going to be in the background, at best.
Yeah, I doubt he's going to be in it.
Don't know either way. I think he may have a scene, and depending on how screens go before the movie actually comes out, they may say, no, this is awful, yank it out, or like, this is amazing, let's just leave it in.
Yeah, guys, Spider-Man's dead, remember?
Oh,
no,
hey,
spoilers, man.
Yeah, now you got to put like a spoiler warning for an Infinity War for this podcast.
Gosh darn it, Aaron!
Hey, remember?
Yeah, Aaron.
Remember one of his last words is "I don't want to go." And where's he going? Oh, you know, back to Sony.
To Sony first.
Back to Sony.
Oh my God!
All right, but anyways, I think that's a good place to put a pin in it. So with that, as always, thanks to my fellow hosts Carlos, Tyler, Aaron, and John for joining me today, and thanks to the Venom site for permitting us to make this podcast under the TVS banner and all of your generous support. And finally, thank you, loyal listeners and fellow Venomaniacs. You guys make an awesome community, and it's an honor to be your voice on the airwaves. Together, we are Venomaniacs.